All right, hey, welcome back. This is actually the 5th day with this little filly. Had a couple of days of rain, but I did work her every day out in the grass here. This is the first day back in the arena. Casey? And I've had one round pinning session since the one that you saw on video. And she's kind of picked up on it pretty nicely. And that right there was her wanting to go be by that new horse that she just saw parked there. Let me put her into a lope. She went the wrong way. Okay. So remember, the whole thing of round pinning is for her to pay attention to my cues. Point. She went into a lope. So that's pretty good. I don't need to have a whole lot more than that. And when I did this morning, she kind of hicked on to me and said she was all happy about that. Okay, so that's pretty good. I don't need a whole lot more round pinning beyond that. She understands point and cluck means go, and so she's fine with that. You may notice I've got a snaffle bit on her. I did that for the first time yesterday. I've just been letting her pack it around. I'll let her pack it, 2 or 3 days before I even touch it with any kind of a pressure or anything. And I put it up pretty tight in the beginning because I don't want her to get in the habit of putting her tongue over the bit. And if you'll put it up pretty tight the first time or two, they won't develop that habit. But I kind of learned that the hard way over the years. If you drop it down to its normal position, some horses will develop a bad habit of throwing or putting their tongue up over the bit, and then it's kind of harder to break than that. And so she's handling all this stuff pretty well. I've reassessed. I told you on the last video that I thought she's maybe slightly on the dull side, and I've changed my mind. I was basing that on the fact that she's not real touchy. It doesn't bother when you touch her. But as I'm training her emotionally, she is very sensitive, which is actually good. All right, she learns really fast. The things that I needed to teach her in terms of groundwork, she's not perfect, but better. Move your shoulder. As soon as I say she's better, okay. So that was okay. This right side, she's a bit more pushy than the left. Look at her hip. Move this shoulder. Good. I like that she didn't take off there. That was nice. Move your hip. Now move this shoulder. So that's pretty good. Again, she's only had, this is day 5. She's probably had a total of about 45 minutes of work on the lunge line here. So I'm really happy with that. So what I'm ready to do now is put a saddle on her for the first time. I put just a bareback, not a bareback pad, but a regular saddle pad and then a circ single on her a couple of days ago, and she just acted like she didn't even notice. So based on that, I think she's ready for the saddle, which of course is a different thing because of stirrups and all of that. So let me just go over the blanket thing with her again and make sure that that's going to be okay. Let her smell it. This is not the same pad I used the other day, so it probably smells like a different horse. But she doesn't seem to be, she's curious but not bothered by it. Okay, there you go. That's what I thought. That doesn't bother her. She's not overly spooky about things. Okay, good. So I'm just double checking. I've done this the other day and didn't have any problem with her, but you want to get this pretty good. So as you can see, she's handling all this well. Now let's get the saddle. This is the first time she's seen the saddle. I have not even shown it to her before now. Okay, and this is an old roping saddle that's 40 or 50 years old, and this is the only thing I use it for, is first saddling on colts. It's not real heavy, but if the colt were to roll with it or something, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, she doesn't seem to be concerned about it at all, does she? Okay, good. Let her see that. Okay, So I'm going to kind of just pick it up and walk around her here. And by the way, if you haven't noticed this, I keep that rope kind of in the crook of my elbow there. This filly's pretty gentle, but some horses will really might try to spin around, take off on you or something, and you've got that rope there handy if you need it. Okay, so I'm just going to touch her on the sides with it, and it doesn't bother her. A lot of horses, this will really bother them. But she doesn't seem to be concerned about that at all. Lift it up. Okay. Flip us up. Go to the other side here. She's a little more nervous about things on her right side, which is typical for domestic horses because we handle them mostly from the left. So that's pretty much normal. She's a little more bothered by stuff on her right side. Okay. So I just move a little bit slower. She tends to want to try to keep me in her left eye like that right there. And I just mostly act like I didn't notice. That'll go away over time. I don't make a big thing about it. I just kind of wait her out till she says, okay. You can see her keep trying to keep me in her left eye. And I could be rough about it, but it wouldn't fix it. It would make it worse, I think, on most horses. Just going to gently work on it. So this is a good example where I had a plan of putting the saddle on her, but she just told me what she needs is a little more time with things in this right eye. So I may not get this saddle on her. If I can't get her okay with me being over here, then I would be not very nice to force this saddle on her when she's not okay with me just standing here. Or moving the saddle around her on this side. I could do it. I could force her to do it. But then you'd create a problem that had to be fixed later. See, she keeps moving. So I'm just going to gently, I'm giving her an opportunity to choose to let me be on that right side. Okay, you all right with that, Casey? Okay. And I've, just in the few days I've had her, I've kind of figured out you can push her and she'll take it, but then it comes back later and she wasn't okay with it. So she keeps repositioning. Okay, let's do this. Let's see if she'll let me move without the saddle. Okay. Okay. So, you know, in my younger days, I would not have noticed this kind of stuff. And a lot of times people say, oh, my horse just all of a sudden blew up with no warning. Yeah, there was warning. You just didn't know it. You didn't catch it, okay? So she's telling me pretty clearly, I'm not okay with things on this side of me. So if I ignore that, it'll come back to bite me at some point. There you go. See that? She said, well, maybe it's not too bad. Okay. Okay. So she let me stand there. Now let me switch eyes again. Pet her on this side. See what happens when I come back. I moved real slowly so she didn't feel threatened. Okay. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And that took what? Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes? That's time well spent. Okay. And she's probably not over it completely, but it's better. Better than it was. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay. So how are you going to be with the saddle over here, huh? And again, you can brush this. I could jerk on that rope and get around her. You can do that. And I've done it a lot in my younger days. But, you know, hopefully you're watching this because you want to kind of figure some of this stuff out. And if you'll just take a little extra time, it might only take 5 or 10 minutes. It might take a little longer, but it'll pay off later. Ah, I see that right there. See her head gradually come down, and she's gradually letting me on that other side? Oh, so much better. What a good girl you are. Okay? By not being too pushy with her, it just keeps her anxiety level down. She's going to trust me a little more. Just all kinds of things are better by going a little slower here in the beginning. Okay? She moved her hip. She says, I'm not really okay with you being on that side. Here we go. Hey, pretty girl. There you go. Hey, pretty girl. There you go. All right. There we go. So I'm just gonna, all right. And this is not so much about the saddle as it is just anything on her right side. She's not, I don't think, any overly concerned about the saddle itself. There we go. And I'm going to saddle her from the left. Typically I would saddle a horse from the right side, the off side, because of the cinches. But since she's a little better on her left, I'll go ahead and saddle her from the left. Okay? Set it up there and take it away. And she says, good, change eyes. Didn't you? Set it up there, take it away. All right, now I'll change eyes. She's a lot more comfortable with things on this side. Okay. So let me turn her around here where you can see her. All right. So I'm about ready to set it on her. She seems like she's okay with it. There, okay. And you know, if it comes off, I really don't care. In fact, I'll probably just pull it off here and let it hit the ground. Okay. Someday, if I happen to come off of her, you know, God forbid, if I happen to come off of her, that's kind of preparing her so it won't be quite such a scary thing if something falls off of her back and hits the ground. That can be a really scary thing for a horse. And you may think, well, it scared me too. Yeah, but horse needs to be okay with it. Okay. You gonna let me switch eyes? Can I? Please? Thank you. All right, so now let's drop it. I'm going to pull it off on this side. That's pretty good. The fact that she didn't jump, or she did switch and put it in her left eye. Did you notice that? She says, okay, I'll look at it out of my good eye where I'm more comfortable. But that's great. She's handling this well. All right, so toss it back up there. Another reason I use an old saddle, because I can kind of just do stuff with it. Okay, let's just set it back up there. All right, I like the way she didn't get too bothered by the stirrups there. All right, good girl. Good girl, Casey. And I'm just a big believer in doing this slowly. If it takes 30 minutes, if it takes an hour, without her getting too upset, then that's time well spent. She's got the rest of her life to be saddled every day for the next 20-some years. So the first day, let's take our time and let her realize it's all right. Not a big deal. There. All right. And some of y'all may be thinking, I'm going to watch somebody else on YouTube. Watching you's like watching paint dry. Yeah, well, I hope the horse thinks that too. Okay? You can go watch those buck-off videos if you want. And I can tell you, those folks didn't do this. That's why they became one of those buck-off videos. I mean, not always. There are other things that can happen, but this stuff pays off in the long run. Okay, and you can see this is my high dollar saddle with that high dollar thing. We sell those for $99.95 plus shipping if you want to buy one. Okay. Let me get this adjusted here. There we go. I do use a back cinch. When I first saddle a horse, my thinking is I just want to go ahead and get them used to it from the very beginning. Then it's not an issue later. Okay. All right, there we go. What a good baby you are, huh? Yeah. What a good girl. Yeah. Okay, let me turn her around here where you guys can watch. There, okay. So what I do here is I'll reach under and get the cinch. And I've done this with a rope and a circ single, so I don't think she's going to have a problem with this, but I'm going to just reach down and do this. And if she did have a problem, I can loosen it and let go. Tighten it and loosen it. Okay, she might want to turn around and look at it. Okay, tighten it, loosen it. Okay, so she's telling me she's a little concerned, but not overly so. So I'm about to get committed here. I'm going to get it tight enough. Oh, baby, there we go. Just tight enough that it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. And I just noticed these stirrups are pretty long. I don't think anyone's ridden this saddle in years. I'm going to raise them up so that hopefully they won't hit her in the elbow there. Should have done that earlier, but I did not notice. Okay. All right. And I know I haven't done the back cinch yet. Let me adjust this side too. And folks, a lot of horses don't take this as well as her. And if that happens, if you start saddling your colt for the first time and he's really having a problem with it, then you're pushing him too fast, too hard. That's my thoughts. Okay? You know, some people will holler at you, cowboy up, and all that kind of stuff, and you can do that. And I've done it a lot in days past, but I don't think you're doing your horse a favor. If your horse has problems, back off, slow down. Go back to using the bareback pad or circ single or something. Give them a little more time to process. All right, let me reach under and get this back cinch. And I want it snug but not tight. And she's pretty small, so that's as tight as it'll go, just barely touching her. Okay, now what happens here, you see how she's all kind of spread out? And this mare especially, she'll run to you for comfort. All right, most horses will do it, but this one's more so than others. Let me see if I can back her up just a little bit. And she might blow up right here. She's thinking like she might need to do something pretty. Okay, that's good. All right, so by backing her up, I kind of got her to let her breath out. She was pretty tense there. She was thinking about exploding, but she didn't. Aren't you a good girl? I don't want her to explode. All right, if she does, it's not the end of the world, but I really don't want her to. Okay. I want her to just walk off like there's nothing going on here. So I'm going to be ready if she starts coming at me. I'm going to be ready, like right there. Okay. And she may not realize what's going on just yet. Okay. Now here's the point of If something's going to happen, it's about right now. Don't come over the top of me, babe. Okay. And what I want to happen is that right there. I want her to just walk off like it's no big deal. Like, saddle, what saddle? Don't see no stinking saddle. No. Cocked her leg. This is a nice filly. She's going to be fine. Okay, and there she kind of came to me. That's kind of what she does. I don't mind it too much as long as she's not pushy. All right, go this way, babe. Okay, so now we're going to increase it and get her to walk, trot, and lope with this saddle. Okay, and what I typically do, if she comes around and she seems okay with it, then I'll just take the rope off and send her around the round pen. She seems okay. She's not overly bothered by it. Okay, so I'm going to take the lead rope off and just send her around the round pen. Get her to walk, trot, and lope with the saddle on. There. Beautiful. 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 Okay, so this is my feeling on this. That took probably 30 minutes. I don't know how long it took, but if I'd done it in 5 minutes, she would have bucked. And she would have gotten over it, sure. But she also might have been cinchy for the rest of her life or whatever. But, you know, if you take your time with these colts and don't try to be, you know, rah, 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 you know, let them talk to you, then it'll go pretty smoothly for them. So what I'll do now is I'll just leave that on her, tie her up for about an hour or so, just like she is, and let her just kind of think that through, and she'll kind of forget about the saddle after a while. And from now on, I'll saddle her and bridle her every day, first thing. That's the first thing I'll do. Probably tomorrow I'll start hooking a little rope and start doing some bending with her with the snaffle bit. I've done it with the halter, and she does pretty nicely with it. She didn't in the beginning. In the beginning, she kind of ran around a lot because she didn't understand it, but now she does. All right, so that's Colt starting. Thanks for coming along.